you
This
guys did.
conference will now be recorded.
Yeah,
Yay.
the invitation was really good, and so I shared it. And I actually invited like 6 people, and I don't know if it worked or not, but I'll have to check. But yeah, keep doing that, because it's a nice way to share it to others, to try and see if they, we can't, get a few newbies in the group. So anyway.
Absolutely, yeah, because because then it's just we just keep pushing, and and I always feel like I always quote Hoosiers. Anybody remember Hoosiers?
Yeah.
Show of hands, yes. But
Yeah.
it's like when they were like wanting the one kid who wasn't on the team, and they were like, we want Jimmy, and the coach is just like, I wish you would accept us for who we are rather than who we are not. This is your team. So right here, this is our team. So we own this, and who doesn't show up, this is who showed up tonight. So why did you show up tonight? What are we talking about? Because we will save sleep for next time. So Mike has, because who doesn't have problems sleeping, or either not falling asleep or not getting enough?
All of it.
Okay, well, you know what? Because we talk about this. We talk about COVID. We can talk about DMTs. We do it every time because these are great topics. So Mike, we can talk more about sleep. But I mean, the sleep issues and stuff. How many of us raised our hands? Is this stuff that happened because of your MS, or were you having sleep issues before you were diagnosed? Because I always feel like I don't have any trouble falling asleep when I go to bed, but after about an hour and a half, I wake up and then I can never fall back asleep.
For me, I think it's a variety of issues. I mean, I'm 54, so I'm in menopause. So you've got the hot flashes going on. Also, I think the sleep issues have escalated due to the MS, but the menopause anxiety is huge, and I haven't had that for forever, but I've had it for a long time, but I noticed it really making a difference, with the MS. And yeah, I'm either sleeping way too much, or not at all, for a couple nights, or like you said, Dan, waking up in the middle of the night. And I've got we can save this, but I've got bad sleep hygiene habits. I fall asleep with the TV on because it's a comfort level, and I'm not ready to break it yet. My dog, at least, I put her in the crate now, but she used to sleep like right here, and that's bad. That's bad for allergies. It's just bad. But anyway, yeah, I think it's different for a bunch of people. But when if I can't sleep, if it's an insomnia night, I'll go on to Facebook or Twitter, and there's always people to talk to who are dealing with the same thing. Or I'll text Michelle. It's like, you up? And she'll be like, yeah, I'm watching this show or that show. And so sometimes Michelle and I talk at 3 o'clock in the morning. So,
And then sometimes I totally ignore you, even though I've seen the thing come through. I'm like, no, it's 11 or it's 1 or it's 2 or it's 3.
Yeah.
Or sometimes I've woken up to pee. You ding while I'm just getting back in bed or something. It's like 4 a.m. I'm like, Mary.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, just a quick interruption. Is there a sound issue that anybody else can hear? Like when people are talking, I heard it when Rick was talking earlier, and I hear it with Michelle.
I heard it with Rick, but I didn't hear it with Michelle.
Okay.
I haven't heard anything.
Yeah.
Never mind. It's always me.
Oh no, it's not you. It's me. So Frank, I saw you raised your hand. What kind of sleep troubles do you have?
Well, your question is there anybody that doesn't have sleep problems?
You don't.
I can go to sleep in 5 minutes, anytime, anywhere.
Because your ways, Frank.
It's because you're a man. It's a man thing.
Dan said he's having trouble.
I can. So what's your secret, Frank?
My secret is I spent a year sleeping underneath the catapult, the #1 catapult of an aircraft carrier in the middle of a combat zone.
Oh my, there you go.
There, you can sleep anywhere.
Wow.
Well, I don't have that opportunity. So
Peter.
So you're one of those people, Frank, that you're like, oh, I just need to sleep for 10, 15 minutes or half hour. You're like, better power down in 5 minutes and you're out.
Oh, no, I don't take power naps. I go to sleep. I spend 8 hours asleep and I wake up and it's time to go about.
Yeah.
I'm up
That
to
is
7
so amazing. That is just,
Give me some of that.
I'm just floored. That is just like the most miraculous thing I've ever
I go
heard.
to bed at 11 o'clock and I get up at 7 a.m. and I don't have an alarm clock. It's automatic.
yeah.
Wow. See that we can
I
be.
haven't slept for 8 hours and I don't even know how long. I mean, yeah, it's.
I have to have my alarm.
I didn't sleep for an entire year. The year prior to being diagnosed, I didn't sleep hardly at all. I think maybe the very edges of light sleep, but I never got any rest because my muscles were so contracting because I wasn't on any baclofen or anything like that. And my lesions were already so advanced at that point. I mean, every 5 minutes I was turning around and cracking my back or cracking my neck or cracking everything, just to try and get a little bit of relief to make my muscles relax. But I had no idea what it was until later.
I think there's some great subtopics to include next time as far as sleep, meaning what do people take to help them go to sleep? What do they have to take? What do they try to take? What works? What doesn't? Their beds. Is there certain pillows, certain mattress situations or temperature controls that can be helpful? The ceiling, all sorts of different facets. Do you shower before you go to bed versus not? Just all sorts of habits as far as what everybody does. That'll be an interesting chat.
Actually, if I could ask, I just recently got a new mattress and I don't care for it. Does anyone have one that they actually really like?
I have a Tempur-Pedic. I got it back in like 2009, so it's old now.
We're replacing our old Tempur-Pedic, and I won't, just for namesake, like I won't mention it, but I'm not as happy with it. It's too soft. I really like.
I got the super. So when we bought ours, we bought it. I guess it's like this off-color kind of brownish cover, and that was really unpopular because people like the super white color. I'm like, dude, it's covered by blanket, sheets. I don't care. So it was like really cheap, and it was like your baseline. I call it your baseline brick model, and it's worked out really well for us. The thing that spoils us though, that when you're used to Tempur-Pedic and you go to a non-Tempur-Pedic bed, it is really tough to sleep on. Like, what is this? So it kind of ruins it that way.
Yeah, I normally have some sleep issues anyway, but like this, it's been maybe like a week and a half, 2 weeks-ish. I think I had just gotten it. No, it's been 2 weeks. So I think I had just gotten it when we spoke the last time, but I hadn't set it up yet. So
Yeah. Did you walk on it before you might have gotten a too soft of one because they have so many different ranges now. When I got it, I was like the basic brick model, I call it.
Yeah, it's a totally different brand.
Okay.
And we were just like, well, this one's, we can get a really good deal on it. And I'm sorry, we haven't spent the money on it now. So.
Do they have a return policy? Usually it's like a 90-day take it back.
They actually have a 365 day return policy.
I would do that because you won't be happy in the long run. I would do that. Yeah. But I definitely need a firm. My mattress is too soft, and it's time for a new one anyway. But I need firm. And my brother has issues with his back also, but he's got one of those, I don't know what you call it or who makes it, but it's one of those beds that where the back can raise up a little bit. He loves it, and I'm wondering if that might be something. I'm just going to have to really take my time and shop.
Those are really expensive beds that you're talking about, Mary.
Yeah.
With the special frames.
I don't think they are anymore. It's the adjustable base.
Yeah,
You
it
can
seems
get an adjustable base for a couple $100 now,
like,
Wow.
and you can put it on any bed. Well, except a
I'm
standard
gonna have to
mattress.
get a whole new mattress. Yeah. So
Because
yeah.
when I brought Mom home, she had an air adjustable Tempur-Pedic with an adjustable base and another bed, which was a shoot, I always forget the name of it when it comes down to say it. It's one of those. It's like an air mattress, but it's the one
Sleep by number.
where you have sleep number.
Sleep number.
Yeah, sleep number. That's easy.
okay.
Yeah. and so that's in my spare room, but I use the adjustable one in the bedroom. She slept on the same side that I'm sleeping on, and she's quite a bit heavier than me. And so I think that side has been broken down because nobody's ever slept on the other side. So I'm trying to, move my body over to the side that's never been slept on. And hopefully, I'll get a little bit better. But yeah, I mean, even that one, because it's air adjustable, I can go from soft to firm. But even like I said, since I think the mattress is broken down over time, I think the firmest setting isn't quite as firm as it once was, or I don't know. But I like it, and I sleep with mine. My head is about, I want to say 15 to 20% rake on it. So and that's what they say you're supposed to sleep with a 20% rake on your bed. So even if you have a regular mattress, just to put the headboard, the foot of your on your headboard, just raise those two up by 20 degrees.
Okay.
See that, and that would help with acid reflux too. That's I'm looking here. I'll send you guys this link. Here's there's a list of the top mattresses to buy for 2020. I won't read the whole list, but for a firm mattress, it's the Stearns and Foster luxury firm. It's not giving me prices here, but Stearns and Foster for the firm. Then for the best adjustable is the Sleep Number 360. It's a smart bed, and then it goes on and on and on, but I'll just send you this list, and I'll just email it to you guys, and you can look at it later. So
Nice.
Well,
anyway,
That Sleep
The
Number
cool thing about it-
360 is the one that I was actually going to look at, because it does the temperature controlled. It's a temperature controlled mattress, so it'll keep you cool or it'll warm your feet. So that's the next one I'm looking at, because feet are always cold, and now with the hot flashes, since going to urology, I've restarted my hot flashes. Yay! So
welcome to the
so
club.
yeah, I'm gonna be having a night and just sweating buckets.
Well, there's a lot to talk about that for sleep then, and on that point too, because I've learned, all the cooling things, the gel packs that we put in our cooling vest and whatever we do. I pull those out. I've got like tons of them in the freezer, and I'll stick them underneath between the pillow and the pillowcase, so that it's around my head. I've got to have a cool pillow. That wakes me up in the middle of the night. I'm constantly flipping the pillow, to the cool side. But also if I'm really having issues, or if I'm even also issues like with my spine, I'll put them I'll put them all underneath my back, so or on my feet. I mean, it probably looks pretty goofy the way I sleep sometimes, with all these different
Well,
things.
sleep is so important, and whatever you have to do to get sleep. And
Yeah.
I know I was watching something or reading something about talking about how important diet, exercise, and sleep, just the big three. And I think sleep is the one that it's the easiest to slack on. I don't know. You can just do so well on 6 hours of sleep, but when you get 8 hours of sleep, oh my goodness, I'm just amazed, So I'm happy for you, Frank, that you get good sleep.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
Yeah.
What can you say?
Yeah, I mean, that's something that we all should like aspire to do better, but it's like I said, easy thing to slack on.
My ex-wife thought I had sleep apnea and I needed to have a sleep study. So I went to the doctor to get the sleep study done. And of course, they do an interview with you before they do the study. How long does it take you to go to sleep? And I said, 5 minutes. No, nobody goes to sleep in 5 minutes. I said, 5 minutes. So
Yeah.
they hooked me up to all the wires and I went to sleep and got up the next morning. And the first thing the guy said is, well, you don't have sleep apnea. And I went, really? He said, yeah, you just snored. And I went, yes, I know that.
Yeah.
I said, I have one question. He said, what's that? And I said, how long did it take me to go to sleep? He said, took you 3 minutes.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's something.
Well, I always think that, because if I'm tired, like if we're watching TV and, we record stuff and then it's my charge to fast forward through the commercials,
Yeah.
I've fallen asleep fast forwarding through the commercials and stuff. But then come time to go to bed, I can't fall asleep. I think it's because potentially I think I'm just so excited that I'm in bed finally and it's time to go to sleep for the night. I get so giddy. It's like, oh my gosh, I can sleep. And then, yeah.
And then not really.
My sister and brother-in-law got me a blanket that had 14 pictures of me watching TV, sound asleep. And of course, I was wearing a different shirt. I mean, it was totally different. And no question about it. 14 different pictures of Frank being asleep.
That's funny.
That's funny. Yeah.
I just instated.
That was my big Christmas present.
That's a good one.
So Frank is
just
well known for his excellent sleep hygiene.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
That's what I was gonna say about sleep hygiene. Like last week, I put on my phone. It says I have a slow network connection, so sorry if it's being weird. But I turned I have a child lock now on my phone at 10 o'clock. It turns all of the apps off. And so I don't look at anything beyond 10 p.m. now. And that seems to be helping a little bit, at least turn my brain off. Testing it out.
Yeah.
So like a child lock.
Mm-hmm.
See, because that's a whole thing. It's just like if like 9:30 hits and I turn my phone off, I'm just like, then I think that does help. But dang it all, somebody's got to be emailing me at like 11:30 at night that I've got to get back to them like right now at 11:30, and it can't wait until I get up at 6.
Or you think about that television show and you're like, who is that actor? Or you think of somebody famous and you can't think of their name, so you gotta.
So like it literally will ask me on my phone, like, do you want to time out of your thing? So you can set it for like a 15-minute, but then you have to keep like consciously saying, yes, ignore the child lock that I put on myself to not put on my phone right now.
Oh, I would be deleting it. I mean, bypassing it, I guess would be the better word. But yeah, I could not be trusted. I'm pretty good at ignoring it. Like, if after a certain hour, and I know that I want to go to sleep, that's the point, I won't look at it. And sometimes I just don't want to talk to people. But then other times it's like I'm stuck on my phone. I'm looking at houses on realtor.com or looking up, hey, does this day do that? Or, whatever. And sometimes, and I'll look up doing it in bed because as you cat behind me, he actually makes me go into the bedroom. And so around 11:30, right when Stephen Colbert comes on, he is like all up in my face, literally. Come on, let's go to bed. Come on, we gotta go to bed. Hi, monkey.
So she's trained you.
Yes.
Monkey.
Yeah.
We had
Yeah, he's like, he minds my schedule for me, and he gets pissed when I don't comply. He is the Borg manager.
Yeah.
They do, yeah. They get our pets get angry when we're off schedule, they're off schedule, and I know my dog just kind of stares at me sometimes, and sometimes she'll go ahead and just walk into her crate anyway. She's like, okay, it's dark outside, and she's still up. I'll just go in my crate, and then but yeah, it affects them, and it's funny.
we were dog sitting for a friend this
Well,
last
the funny part about that,
week. Like for
go ahead.
Thursday through Saturday night, and their dog was getting pissed at us because we got locked in. We were binge watching season 3 of Ozark, and we weren't going to bed. It was like, after midnight, and Breslin's just like, she was so crabby. She's like, why are you not sleeping? So, but that's what we don't have a dog or a pet to keep us in check. So.
I honestly, the reason why I'm trying to get my sleep back in check is because of my dog, because she stays up with me. She won't go to bed with my husband. She'll stay with me, and I feel really bad about it. So seriously, like that's the reason, like I got to get it under control again because she was so upset and miserable. And that's kind of sad to say, but in a way it's like awesome.
Well, and it's funny that you're taking care of yourself or because of your dog. You're like, it's not like, oh, Kim, you need to get more sleep, do it for yourself. But you're like, no, I'll do
Your
it
dog
for
is
God.
reminding you to take care of you.
Yeah, and then the crazy thing is, so I think I mentioned it before that I have a near infrared sauna that I use that somehow don't know how it works. It helps me sleep, but I haven't been using it because it was in my garage, and with the humidity, I'm not going out in the garage and using it. So my husband, the TV downstairs died, and he wanted to bring his TV downstairs. So right now, in my living room, let me turn around my thing, is my sauna. It's right in my living room. So
It's lovely, but
yeah, I'll show it to you guys
you got
another
to
time.
yeah, exactly. You got to put the convenience versus
So my living room looks totally like wonky because I have this big old boxy weird sauna in the middle of it. But you know how quite nice it is to be able to walk right into the sauna. I don't have to worry about going in the garage, getting my feet wet, dirty, and then like I have the fan going on. So as soon as I open it back up, I get this whoosh of air flow, and it's just like, oh,
Nice.
You should
but
do
it's
you
just
should
like,
do a little you should do a little video too, because I haven't seen or heard anybody until I haven't seen or heard anybody talking about using that. That would be really cool for you to do, just a quick little kind of like what you're getting in there, and kind of like demonstration. That's the word I'm looking for.
well, you don't want to well, I guess I could do demonstration.
Yeah,
When I'm in there, I'm completely nude, so you wouldn't want a demonstration. But
Oh, okay. Well, never mind.
I heard about it through that Carrie Walls' seminar in Iowa City, and that was one of the sponsors. People was this. She was swore up and down about this near infrared sauna thing, and they gave you a discount if you bought one there. And I'm just like, a lot of money. Is it worth it? And I tried it out and asked, who do you think it? And so I had it. I think I've had it since 2017, and I used it off and on, but it was just sitting in my garage. And then finally, when the sleep got really bad this year, I'm like, just try the infrared sauna again. I mean, you already own it. You just physically get your butt in there, and so it helps me. But I have to do it consistently.
What's it supposed to do, Kim? I mean, obviously sauna,
I can't explain why it works for me. I know it helps release toxins and sweating, and it helps I don't know. It's not exercise, but because you're heating up your body. I don't know why it works and how it works. I just know it's effective for me. And so I'm trying to do a better job utilizing it. And now that it's smack dab in my living room, if I don't use it, my husband's going to be probably pretty upset. Like, you put it in the middle of your living room and you're not going to use it. So then I really have to be accountable. I can't use like, oh, the humidity. I'm not going to go out there and it's super hot out, humidity. So yeah, but that was my weird thing that somehow works. But yeah.
I find it mildly ironic, and I
Mhm.
mean it's great that it works for you, but it's just that it was at an event with Dr. Walls, and so
Yeah.
obviously then MS people running rampant. But it's like, what's one of the biggest issues we all have, or that people with MS have?
Was the
Heat.
heat. Yeah. And
Yeah,
that's one
so
thing about the near infrared sauna. So if you look at
it's
my
not
sauna,
really that hot.
it's not as hot as like a steam sauna you go into a gym. Like you're like, oh, I can't breathe. It's really dry air. It's like being under a heat lamp. And it's only on one side of your body. So like about every 3 minutes I'm rotating,
Like a
45
rotisserie.
degrees. Yeah, so it's only hitting one side of my body. And the guy does sell like if you guys know the Paleo Boss lady, V, she complained about the same thing. I have a really heat issue. So she just got the little single light that you can just set up whatever. And then she like raved about it, how much it helped with her heat sensitivity and stuff when she got used to it.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
but it's not cheap like anything. They're always like, oh, try this product. You're like, oh, this sounds great. How much is? And you click on it. Oh, you need to go to the seminar. You learn all that. Which you oh, the prices. But yeah, so I enjoy it. But that seems to some reason help me, but I have to do it, like I said, consistently. It's not like I can just do it once a week. I try to do it every day. It doesn't always happen, but
And
Car-
how long do you
Kim,
do it for?
Kim, these are you're right. These are not cheap. I just looked.
Mhm.
These are
I
not.
paid, I think I got a discount. I think I paid like 2 grand for it. And
Yeah,
to
that's
me,
what I'm seeing.
that's not cheap. That's why I'm like calling my husband like, no, are you cool with this? So, yeah.
I just had to curiously look. Oh, and here's one for 10,000. I mean, yeah, there's a variety of different sizes and types and prices, but yeah, they're pricey.
Yeah,
But
they're not cheap.
Kim, does it make you feel better?
Yes, I feel better after I do it. So I think someone was asking me the question, how long am I in there? I think that was
Yeah.
the question. Okay, so when I first started out again, I think I start at 12 minutes, and then every time I went in again, I increased it by a minute. So I worked my way up to 45 minutes, and I feel that's an adequate enough time for me to be in there. So I'm in there now 45 minutes. If it's something like before I moved it out of the garage when it was humid, I like cut it down to like 30 minutes. But
Wow.
Mm.
I like to be in there and get a good. When you first start, for me anyway, it took a while to like really get your sweat on, and then your body gets used to it. Kind of like people who exercise. Someone will start, who's regular exercise, they start sweating like immediately, and the newbies are like, "What?" And same thing with the sauna. Like with time, you just like start like within 5 minutes, you're like starting to, and you have to have towels all over the floor. You have to sit on the towels because you're just dripping. You can hear the drip hitting the towels. You can feel it.
Wow.
It's pretty it was funny because today, so I talked to my counselor today, and I'm like at the end, like, I don't want to freak you out, but I actually was in my sauna the entire time. And she's like, oh, that's great. I'm like, okay, I just didn't want to weird you out that I'm like considered like sweating like a pig butt naked in here talking to you, but you can't see me anyway. But she thought it was awesome. Like, that's a great way to multitask. All right, thank you.
See,
So
that's
I'll
why
probably
I love telehealth so much because you can do whatever you want to do, especially for therapy. I have a session on Friday. I love doing those from home. I really do. I really do.
but I'll
So
start probably now pairing my sessions with her with my sauna, so I get 2 for 1 done.
Yeah.
And so, and it doesn't, I don't know why it would freak her out. It doesn't freak her out. It doesn't freak me out, but it was just kind of like, it's kind of odd, like admitting to someone, yeah, I'm sweating. I'm completely naked right now talking to you this last, 47 minutes.
Oh, it's no big deal.
Yeah.
But, we don't have a video camera on. It doesn't matter. It's fine.
No.
So, I don't know. But,
Do you guys
yeah.
think that, I mean, you talk about telehealth, I mean, because you had one, and I was talking like, even for church, I'm on council, and we had been doing council meetings virtually. Well, then last month they were just like, let's, in person, or if you're not comfortable, do it online. But I'm like, I don't think there's any reason to have an actual council meeting in person. I mean, I just think, do you think that with everything with COVID and with lockdowns and stuff, will we get like bored or just seeing how like in-person meetings, like think of the travel time to go to places and stuff, that's not a good use of our time, that, really the virtual meetings are a better way to go?
I think
Yeah,
we,
because when I had that telehealth meeting with my urologist, I was at home, so I could do a bunch of stuff while I was waiting for her to, like, quote unquote, join the meeting. So instead of sitting in a waiting room in a doctor's office, I was just doing this, doing that. And then when the doctor popped on, I just dropped everything. So I think it's like better for time management.
Mhm.
I
I
think
And
so
know
too. Yeah.
I know for me, whether riding or driving wears me out really fast.
Yeah.
yeah,
So to not have to physically go somewhere and sit and wait can be really helpful. And that was something I talked to her about. Like, so maybe in the future, if I can't make it in because I'm having a really bad day, if we could do the telehealth, but we're not there yet because we're not over this stuff yet. But I don't have a problem with telehealth. I haven't done like a doctor's appointment like you have per se, but I got used to like using Zoom when I did like a health coaching certification. That's how, because we were all over the country and some people were around the world, and that's how we got. So I don't know. It doesn't. I have an easy time with it. I don't know if people who aren't used to technology have a harder time, but
That's a good point, Kim, because, and I was going to say that, I love it, but also, I mean, we're all sitting here right now, so obviously we know how to, click a button and click your microphone and boom, there you are. But a perfect example of a problem in the telehealth world and with technology are the elderly people, as a whole. My mother is 79. And oh, she has literally a nervous breakdown. Even if I try to coach her, whether it be just FaceTime, but not all doctors will use FaceTime. They have to have their certain programs, because it's their all those appointments go into the hospital or the what I'm trying to say. They're part of a system.
private
But my
people.
but my mom, she can't figure it out, and it freaks her out. And then the doctors get frustrated with her, and sometimes she's missed appointments, and she's missed Sunday school and church, and so I'm going over to her house tomorrow. Wish me luck, because I'm going to and try to teach her how to Zoom, because her Sunday school is all a lot of the churches, most of them that I've heard of are doing Zooms, and but she keeps wanting somebody to do it for her, but she needs to learn how to do it herself, and I need to teach her. I have to go fix her TV so she can get Amazon Prime because she just forgets, and it's like, what do I click for Netflix? So my point being, the technology issue for elderly people, or people that, or even, or our community, people with MS who haven't used it before, it can be very maybe overwhelming or daunting. But if they're open to being taught how to do it, that's one thing that maybe the organizations, the medical organizations, when they're doing telehealth, maybe they need to take it a step further and educate these people that don't know how, that freak out about it, to teach them how to do it. There's got to be something. I
well,
don't
I
know.
think they need to. I think
Even a step further than that, like there are people that just don't have access.
That's right.
very true. I
Very
think
true.
that's so frustrating is people like, oh, people can do this and that. And like a lot of people don't have computers, a lot of people don't have internet, a lot of people don't have smartphones. They don't have access. Like the simple, like the library, for example, people be like, why do we need libraries anymore? And I'm like, well, if you want to get a job, you have to apply online. If you don't have a computer and internet access, you can't apply for jobs. And people don't realize that. Like you can't you don't have that technology in your hands, you can't do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or they don't have a printer. That was my problem. I remember I didn't have a printer, and for a certain job, I needed to print something out, sign it, scan it, return it. So it was like a 5-step process. I had to go to the library, get access to a computer, so I had to sign up, wait until my hour, get on there, print the thing, take it to Kinko's or wherever,
Yeah.
and to complete step 2. And it's like an all-day process. So I've been in that position where, you don't have a component that you need in order to complete part of the process. But I feel for people who are, maybe financially unable or just never thought they needed it.
Yeah.
The MS Foundation has a grant program where they do a pretty good job as far as supplying certain equipment and stuff like that. They have a computer giveaway program per se, but it's all through. You have to qualify and all that. But that's the only MS organization that I've seen that does that.
What was that, Michelle?
It's a Futures grant. Bright Futures grant.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Or is it a Brighter Tomorrow? I think it's a Brighter Tomorrow.
No, it's Bright Futures.
Okay.
Yeah, because you can get it on the Bright Futures grant. You can get anything from like sporting equipment to a bidet or a robotic vacuum or a computer.
Yeah.
Actually going to ask for the robotic vacuum.
That's interesting.
I need to keep my house cleaner.
Yeah.
I need to keep my house cleaner. So I'm going to get the robotic vacuum or apply for it.
Yeah. Good luck.
That's a good idea.
What was interesting with my going back to the telemed, the doctor's appointment, I have met with my doctor for probably 3 years, and I met with her PA this time, and I almost felt like a little more comfortable talking. It was a urology appointment, but I just felt maybe having that distance, not having the person right there in front of me or something. It was surprising how much more candid I found myself being. Not that I'm dishonest with doctor's appointments normally, or it was just that I'm so frustrated with my urological problems where it was like, gloves are off, I'm telling you the truth. But I don't know if any of you have had doctor's appointments like that where I was just like, dang, when I finished, I can't believe I was that honest.
Well, let me ask you this, because this is what I've noticed because I've had 2 appointments, telehealth with my GI doctor and also one with my neurologist. You mentioned feeling more comfortable yourself and being more open. Have you found that also because your doctor is not getting interrupted with a patient sitting outside their door, not interrupted by a nurse coming in, to where they're giving you more one-on-one contact and conversation? It makes it a more productive session.
That's a good point.
That's how I felt.
I think there's a couple of issues. And the first, just like we were talking about the older people not being able or not being as comfortable with the technology, the doctors have to be comfortable with the technology for the virtual visits too. So it's not just the patient, it's the doctor.
Excellent.
And how comfortable they are with the platform. I missed a virtual meeting with my doctor Friday because we couldn't make the platform talk with my computer and his computer.
Oh, that's
Okay.
frustrating.
He was frustrated with it. I mean, I could care less. I mean, my comment was, I don't know, I do online virtual meetings with the MS Society 2 or 3 times a month, and I don't have a problem.
Yeah.
So, you
Yeah.
know, it's just like big deal. And so we have a problem, we need to fix it. And when I had my doctor's appointment today, he brought it up and I said, we need to just have a dry run and see what's going on, because one of us has got something set wrong.
That's
And
what I wish they would do, is that they'd have some person working at the office meet with the patient 15 to 20 minutes ahead of time to make sure everything's functioning, and then
Yeah.
meet with the doctor, because I think that also helped lower the anxiety of the patient. Like, what happens if I can't get it to work and I'm gonna mess up the appointment? You know what I mean? Like, take the stress off. And my husband does it all the time at work. They're always doing dry runs so they can have a seamless meeting with people.
we did have the dry run, but the dry run was insurance. What do you need? What's your meds? You know, it wasn't the technology part of it. It was the medical part of it.
Right.
So, no, I just think he's got to get used to it. And we've got to connect. And if he's having that problem with me, and I've been in technology for 40 years,
Yeah.
what kind of problems is he going to have with a 75-year-old that, you know?
That's an excellent point, Frank. You're exactly right, because think about it. The doctors, like Kim, you were saying, before you typically meet with the doctor, if you're in person, you've got the PA or the nurse that does your vital signs, and then at the computer checking your prescriptions and doing this, and they're typing type, and then your doctor then comes in. They may make a few notes on the computer, but the grunt work behind the scenes, as far as the programs and everything, the doctor's not doing that, at all. And I think, and Frank, that's a great point. The doctors need to be just as tech savvy or educated on their platform and help their patients get through it too. I mean, otherwise it's unproductive.
Yeah, we're all learning right now.
Yep.
Well,
Yep.
everything is different. Everything is
I've
changed.
never,
Everything is new. Business is going to be new. Business travel is going to be different than it used to be. Meetings are going to be done over the phone rather than people going to the meetings. It's going on and on and on. It's going to make for a cheaper cost of doing business.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And we're just going to all have to adapt to it. I mean, that's the way it's going to be.
but a large portion of the community is going to get left behind.
Yeah, I think you're right.
That is the downside of technology. It really widens the gap on a lot of things.
And that's what they talk about, like with schools. And, sure, it's easy enough to teach, like K-12 things, online and everything. But yeah, you've got kids in rural areas that don't have the connectivity, and that, like you say, Kim, it just like separates the, widen the gap. So that's.
Well, it's like my next door neighbor is a high school teacher, and he's all opposed to the kids going back to school. Let me put it this way: he's paranoid, okay, about the whole situation. And I made a comment about it, and I thought more about it, and I went to him. I said, "Matt, I apologize." I said, "I'm sorry. I was being a little bit harsh because I think the kids ought to be back in school." Now, that's my opinion. But, really, my kids are homeschooled. My grandkids are homeschooled. So why do I care? I mean, when you get right down to it, my kids are getting their education. My grandkids are getting their education. So, I'm just letting my political viewpoint come through. And there's something to be said for all sides. Everybody's got a point, a valid point.
Yeah.
That is a great point, because I mean, we all have our opinions, but it's like being able to recognize and see that, it's just like everybody's, because this is all new territory for everyone, and it's just like nobody knows when we're all trying to weed through it, and it's just like figuring it out. Because it's just like is it best for kids to go back to school? Our neighbor is a, a phys ed teacher, and of course he wants to go back to school because he's like, I can't go around to individual classrooms and do PE for kids, and it's just like, but at the same time, what are the risks? And we don't know that.
We don't know exactly. I was had one of my best friends since we grew up together. She teaches science to elementary school kids, and so basically, the plan so far here in the Dallas area is to I I can't remember the date. I want to say it's maybe at the end of August, or maybe they're pushing it towards the beginning of September. I can't remember the date, but so she's had some of these, teacher administrative meetings to where as far as what she's going to have to do, she's getting the same pay that she always has, but she has to take it the extra step in between classes, totally clean, the counter, the desks and the areas and everything that people touch. And then even after the kids of school, in other words, she's gonna have to put in 2 more hours of work for the same amount of pay. And then it goes further than that. I mean, think about, like, okay, so here's mom getting the kids ready for school, and let's say the kid has been exposed to COVID. Little kids, they don't always say, hey mom, I'm not really feeling good, if they're, because you can't always see when a sore throat's happening or a fever. So then that kid goes to school and then starts, exposing it. So I have very mixed feelings about it. I mean, I know that the kids, it's affecting their development, and mentally and social skills. So I have mixed feelings about the whole thing. It's really it's bizarre. I'll just put it that way.
Well, heck, you don't even have to be a kid. I'm a 45-year-old woman, and I don't go out in society right now. And when I go out, I'm like, that person is too close to me, or
Yeah.
ew, and I just feel that we're going to be a little leery to be socializing. I talk to Dan about this quite often because we're social people, and yeah, I think that that's interesting. And like you said, Frank and Kimmy made the point, everything is going to change, but like our neurologist is 2 hours away. I'm going to be like, let's meet virtually. I can save 2 hour drive and it'll be a heck of a lot easier. So I think things are never going to go back to quote unquote normal.
Yeah.
It's like September 11th.
Yeah.
Air travel changed forever after that. I went to my parents and my grandparents were at the airport with me, waiting for me to get on the plane before I got to, going to Alaska, going to school for a year, and then 2.5 weeks later, boom, everything changes. And they have to wait for me to get past the airport, past security to see me when I arrived home for winter break.
Yeah.
It's changed forever.
My comment when that second plane hit the World Trade Center was everything changed right now.
I was the last person to find out about September 11th. I found out at 10:30 in the morning Alaska time, so that would have been 11, 12, 1. That was 2:30 in the afternoon New York time. I was the last person to know.
Yeah, that is a good point. Just everything is going to change, like September 11th, and just the way we do things. But I kind of think it could be better for the people with chronic illness. We're gonna, we'll just cut out the baloney that, I don't need to go to a doctor 2 hours away. I can just do a virtual meeting or something, I hope.
Well, I think it opened the door. I've worked remotely for the last 2 years. And I mean, that's just part of, the office. That's what we do. That's how it was set up. And it's just like, now people see that we're opposed to, remote working. Now all of a sudden that opens the door to people with chronic illnesses that maybe, if you didn't have to travel or commute into work or have to do this or could work 8 hours on your time, that opens the door for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we were talking the other day, Dan and Jennifer, as far as the opportunities, as far as events and conferences that you would normally have to travel to or pay for, or submit an application to be accepted as an attendee. Now, a lot of these big conferences you have the opportunity to go to do the webinars and do virtually attend these things. And I think that's a bonus for me. That has really been fun and educational for me. So
Yeah, because you don't have to travel. Like, we don't have to drive down to Detroit and spend the night before and then fly and then get a hotel. I mean, dude, you can just like log in 10 minutes before the conference starts and you're there. You're an hour in and out, and
yeah,
you
you
enjoy
you,
it, and you
you can
learned a
sit,
lot.
yeah, you can sit naked in your sauna and attend a conference at the same time, and you're good to go.
Maybe not with the video on though.
The problem with sitting, I have to warn you, the problem with sitting with electronics in the sauna is that depending where you're facing, the electronics do get really hot. So you have to be a little,
Well,
and you're also really sweaty.
I was gonna say, you're
So you
talking
don't
about
want to ruin your electronics in there. Just FYI on that.
Yeah. Don't drop the soap.
see it, and and I think I bring this up maybe, for the last how many months, to just say it once, is like, remember when all we had to deal with was multiple sclerosis?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, speaking of, Jen, you talked about your telemedicine health with your urologist. How did it go overall, though?
It went well, thank you. The doctor encouraged me that when I saw her 3 months ago, she said looking into Botox, and I was a negligent patient. I didn't do that. So when I saw the PA this time, she said, no, really look into Botox. And I've read up on it, and the decision will be made. I have another appointment in October, and I've read a lot about self-catheterization, and I've read about Botox. And so I think there's a lot of decisions to be made, but I was really comfortable with the PA, and she just told me to drink more water, which again, kind of like a sauna for people with multiple sclerosis, sounds counterintuitive. Drinking more water for people with multiple sclerosis. I'm like, seriously? And she's like, yes, drink more water. So I told her I would do that, and I would keep thinking about Botox for my bladder.
I think
you
she's
have
saying that
Is your
because-
bladder overactive, or do you retain the fluid like I do?
My bladder is overactive, and I've taken the Ditrol, the Ditropan, the oxybutynin, and I'm just like, she's like, just think about the Botox. So, but then there's
I can tell you that I've been self-cathetering for a month or so now, and it's not that big of a deal.
and that's what I have read over and over and over again. So thank you, Michelle, just for sharing that, because a lot of people.
Yeah, it's awkward. Like I was telling Mary, we had this conversation. When they show you in the room, you have this nice special chair, and you're all lit up, and you got an extra person to hold a mirror so you can see where you're doing, and it's all easy. You get into your house, and you're on a 90-degree toilet, and you have a floor that's perpendicular or not or whatever too, and the angles are all weird, and where's the other, like, you've got another person. I don't have another person to hold the mirror for me or help me, so I'm like, what the hell do I do now?
Yeah.
And so you got it. I mean, I figured it out. So I have a mirror. I set it on the floor. I figured out how to get where I need to be and how to do it. But but if I have to do it outside the house, or excuse me, no, not if, when, because that day is coming, then that's going to be a whole new sort of animal. And I'm trying to work that out of my head, how I feel about that. But because I'm coming to Texas in a couple weeks, at least around the 10th, Mary. I may be there.
Into here? Really?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. Well, the wedding is still on. So, and
okay.
my friend Kim works in a hospital. So she's got a whole bunch of N95 masks sitting around. So she said I could have
that
them.
still makes me.
So I'm like, sweet.
I'm glad for her, but you know that makes me nervous that she's going to do that. I mean, right now, especially with the conditions here in Texas and where you are in Florida, and the situation, that's surprising to me.
Yeah, the wedding is actually in Royce City, so it's it's further east than Carolyn, actually by about an hour.
Yeah.
30 minutes or an hour or something like that. So it's actually further east, but I'd come visit you before I saw anybody else, and then
I love you dearly, but that makes me nervous.
Yeah, I'd come see you first, and then I'd go see them.
Did you hear me? I said it makes me nervous.
I know it does, but
okay.
And I told my friend, I said, I'm just gonna have to do what makes me comfortable.
I know that's true.
And that's so the mantra of multiple sclerosis. I have to do what makes me comfortable. And if your friends want to go hang out at the beach and you're like, yeah, I can't sit in the sun for 2 hours, you just have to say, I got to do what makes me comfortable. Or if there's an event that you can't do because your bladder, going back to that, won't be cooperative. I think that's one of those lessons for newly diagnosed people.
Yes.
You have to realize, gotta do what's best for you.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, it's a COVID thing that is putting a big spin on it for me because, I don't know. I don't think she's having this big thing anymore. Who knows? But I mean, they're small country people anyway. So, I don't think that it's going to be massive to begin with because they're young and they're broke, and they've got 2 kids, and so I really don't think it's going to be massive. But I who knows? I'll get there and I'll find out. But I mean, most of the decorations are being made in house, and I think it's being held in a community center. So if that says anything, but having an N95 mask at my disposal, it makes me happy. And I said, as long as I have an N95 mask, I feel more comfortable because then I can participate, even though I look like a weirdo at your wedding. I just won't be in the pictures.
Wow.
Big deal.
Yeah.
So this
Gotta
is
do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
Unless they want me in the picture.
the sign of the times.
Yeah.
So this is part of the conversation
Well,
where
his aunt is actually said she's going to be wearing her mask. So, I'm cool with that.
well, I looked because I was doing some research on one of the universities I'm doing, and just how the university, their homepage, how you always have the the happy-go-lucky kids on campus, blah blah blah, walking beautiful trees and blue skies, but the 3 students, all 3 of them were wearing masks, and you're just like, when you talk about times changing, just like that's, so yeah, they've got wedding photos from 2020. Of course you're going to have masks on. I mean,
That's our new normal.
I was going to say it's.
Yeah, we're living in a piece of history right now. That's for sure. I mean, in not just with COVID. I mean, it's like with the political climate, with the pandemic, with the civil rights movement. It's like, you know, I'm a big fan of the music from like 1968 and Woodstock and all that. And some of the songs that I listen to, it's like, that sounds exactly what's going on today. It's like, it's not that history repeats itself, you know, but there's a few little twin things that it's like, little similar.
I mean, on some levels, I mean, it is. It's like, you know, history just kind of going around.
Just keeps whacking us upside the head.
Exactly.
And maybe this time will actually listen. Like when your mom whacks you upside the head and you just don't pay attention. She doesn't know anything. She doesn't know anything. And now you're like, oh, my mom was actually really smart.
There's a friend of mine and I, she doesn't have MS, but we've been having this conversation lately, and we, you know, are saying the universe just really is trying to teach you this lesson, so it just keeps hitting you upside the head until it finally sinks in.
Yeah, exactly.
Same
But
old.
how many times do you have to get hit in the head? I mean, man.
A few.
What'd you say, Frank?
It's the same old stuff over and over and over again.
Yeah,
I mean, you know,
Yeah.
the
I
calendar
remember,
changes, the situation's no different.
when I was a kid, I had such a hard time. Like, so we had World War II, and you know, we're discriminating against, you know, the Jewish, you know, having the concentration camps, and like, you know, really discriminating different races and stuff like that. And then it like happened again, and I'm like,
Yep.
I thought we already dealt with this and we were done with this. And it really it took a long time for me to wrap that around my brain. And it's interesting how it morphs. So when we're talking about 2001 era, you know, the bad stereotypical group was Middle East. If you look like someone from the Middle East, you look like a terrorist. And now that's kind of, if when 19 years, now what a bad person looks like has morphed and is no longer someone from the Middle East. But it was really bad in that time period to look like you were from the Middle East. And I just find that intriguing that like it continues to morph and change, and there's always some hot group at the moment that it's just like, oh, you are the bad group, and it's just like, why are we doing this? Why does this keep happening? Like, did we already learn like years ago? Did my grandparents not fight for, you know, like what? So it's frustrating, but you understand it, but you're like, why does it have to be this way? Can we
There's a terrific movie if you guys get on Amazon Prime, and it's a great movie that you should watch. It's called Bias. It's the history of it's kind of like why, you know, even though we've seen all these things like you were saying, Kim, but it's called bias. It's kind of like the innate things within us versus like the learned behavior and what we already have. It's very interesting. Just a little.
Malcolm Gladwell had a really good book too called Blink.
Oh, I read that one. I read
Yeah.
Blink. Mm-hmm. It'll be interesting. Obviously, I won't be around, but you know, what the world in 50 to 100, 200 years, when they look back at this time period, what will be their little, you know, excerpts of what this time period was about and everything.
History books from now.
It's going to be the same as us looking back on the 60s. It's going to be exactly the same story. No difference at all.
Except now we even have more footage because everyone has access to the internet and everything stays forever. So you're like, this really crazy person back in 2020, did you watch their YouTube videos? They were insane back then. Oh my God.
That's exactly
It's
right.
on video now. That's the only difference.
So like in you know 100 years, like they'll be able to see this conversation going, they are just kind of.
You just got real meta.
I know, and just like, and then whatever changes between what hasn't even happened yet, you know, like they're like, people used to be able to sit with you when you got to get on the plane. Like, yeah, that changed 2001, and what is that about, you know? And I'm sure even further, Frank would tell us, oh, they didn't have to go through security in the 70s. You just walked into the plane.
You ran to get to the airplane.
Yes. Back in the 80s.
Well, I was doing it in the 70s. And at the time I was doing technology repairs, running all over the country. installing the first, dinosaur now. I installed the first facsimile machines in a number of states in the United States. Okay. The first facsimile machines. Okay. I'm a dinosaur. I admit it. But yeah, I used to run through airports. Me and O.J. Simpson used to run through like crazy, you know?
My dad used to smoke on an airplane.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, my parents did too.
Heck, we used to have ashtrays in our car. You could,
Mhm.
you know, and lighters that were standard. Everyone smoked. Now it's just, yeah.
I have to tell you a story. I'm a very political guy. Okay. I don't hesitate about it. I'm political.
Absolutely.
And I happen to live in a little place in western Kansas. And if there's anything you have to know about Kansas, is it's one political party. Okay. We have not had a Democrat elected to the Senate in 90 years.
Wow, yeah, I can see that.
I mean, it's as right. I'm not extreme right. I don't buy that, but it's conservative. It's a conservative place. My
Even Overland Park is conservative?
Overland Park's getting awfully close to Kansas City.
That's what I
Kansas,
mean, because that's pretty.
that's getting pretty metropolitan. Okay, but that's Overland Park. Anyway, my congressman is resigning, is not running for re-election because he's running for the Senate seat that's being vacated by a conservative Republican who's retiring. And my congressman is a conservative Republican. And all of a sudden, there's all these ads talking about how bad he is. And they're being run by Democrats. They're running ads against a conservative Republican in the primary because they don't want to run against him in the general election. And it's like, whoa, this is wrong. This is so wrong.
People have time and money right now.
Well, I love politics. I mean, my grandfather was a judge, and my mother was a county tax appraiser for umpteen years, and so it's in my blood. But it's just something to see the way people are acting. It's like crazy.
You know, when they're, and Carly, I probably remember it was just like a couple years ago when our governor, when Rick Snyder was done and they had the Republicans running in their primaries and stuff. And I think it was kind of that Whitmer was kind of the Democratic, you know, assumed thing. I voted in the Republican primary because I didn't want a certain candidate to be the Republican nominee because I voted for Brian Calley, our former lieutenant governor, because I was like, if it got to be head to head between him and Whitmer, I at least felt like I had a choice. You know, it wasn't like somebody where it was like a guaranteed voting for the Democrat because I just like wanted a choice. And I think that's where, bless you, Frank, where yeah, you're just like you're voting for. So that's interesting that you've got the Democrats not wanting him to be nominated because they know that's a battle they can't win.
It's a slam dunk. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing.
Politics that's interesting beast.
Yeah, it'll be yeah. Texas is pretty well. You know, you've got certain parts of the country that are kind of predictable as far as how they lean, and this like you were saying, Frank, as far as Kansas, and I'm originally from Missouri, which is kind of depends on Missouri. I think I'm basically just kind of southeast from St. Louis, and so which is typically Republican, and so Texas has been definitely a red state for a really long time, ever since They have, gosh, let's see, the last time they had Democratic governor was Ann Richards. I loved her though. She was a tough cookie. But anyway, but Texas is getting pretty turning purple. It's been turning purple for a while, and so it's going to be very interesting. That's the main thing I want to say as far as this coming November. It's gonna be interesting, and honestly, based on how you want to look at the big picture, what we're seeing with our eyes and what we're hearing with our ears, you would think that it would go in a certain direction. But ever since 2016, all bets are off. I mean, I just really have no idea how it's going to go, you know?
I was so surprised with 2016. It was pathetic. I mean, I was convinced Hillary was going to win. No
I
doubt,
do too.
no doubt in my mind. And
A lot of people did.
I think that's a majority how everyone felt.
sure.
Even people higher up in the government felt that way and were really surprised.
Oh, it
And
was
if you listen
shocking.
to Hillary Clinton talk on Howard Stern, she was surprised, and Trump was surprised when she called him to congratulate him on the thing. He was shocked that he won.
I think the whole thing is going to come down to, this is my opinion now, what happens in those 3 debates.
When did the debate start?
The 26th of September.
Okay.
Biden is supposed to pick his running mate this week, I believe. I think I saw that on the news this week, or yes, yeah.
I think
So
in the
that's
next
interesting.
couple of days is what I heard today.
What'd
Yeah,
you say?
yeah.
I think the next couple of days.
Who do you think he's gonna pick?
I don't know
don't
who's on
know.
the list.
I'm betting an
hoping
African American
about
female. That's what I'm guessing.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
I think everybody chimed in with a name or something. Who did we say? Either a name or they didn't know.
Okay, I'll go. I'm actually hoping that he chooses Val Demings, but I don't know who else is on his list, to be honest. I keep hearing Kamala Harris, but I don't want her.
She is, but she's
Val
a little bit lower down. Yeah.
Val Demings is actually from my county, and I'm very familiar with her, and she is a very good choice.
Actually, you know what? Digman's, Gretchen Whitmer's on the list. Yeah.
She was on the short list. I think that would. Okay, so now we are getting political, and we no, but just
It was polite.
I'm just being. I mean, this is just observation, though.
Yeah,
If you
keep
think
it fun and friendly for everyone.
we think back to with John McCain, it's just like, was Sarah Palin really the best choice for him?
Hell no.
You know, and so with that, and I'm not comparing Whitmer or anybody else to Sarah Palin exactly, but it's just like you got to make a smart choice with your running mate, and it's just like, don't pick somebody that's just going to totally, ruin. And that's not a dig on Sarah Palin, but I think you could have found somebody better that would have given you a better shot. And I just, is Whitmer the best? I voted for her, but you're just like, but would she be the best choice for him? I don't think so. I mean,
yeah, I don't know. Stacey Abrams is up there. She's and there's other names on this list too that I don't recognize actually, but they're all women. They're all women. Tammy Duckworth.
I'm for
Elizabeth. Huh?
Obviously, I'm not going to vote for Joe Biden. So let's get that.
I figured, but that's okay.
But I do think Tammy Duckworth is a good pick.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just looked her up. Like, I have never heard of Tammy Duckworth, but I guess she's a senator.
Is she from out California?
Illinois.
Oh.
He's the paraplegic from
Yeah,
Illinois.
that's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
Thank you.
She's
Thank
a
you, Fred.
paraplegic?
Exactly. I like her. I like her. I like her a lot. I like her a lot. She's my pick.
And on that note, we can just say that the ADA was signed into law 30 years ago, a few days
I was
ago.
gonna say 30
So,
years ago this week.
yay.
From
So
my
that's good.
senator,
right.
Iowan, did you know why he was big into ADA? Why that was his shtick? His brother was deaf, or his brother is deaf.
Oh,
What,
okay.
like Chuck Grassley? Or was
Tom
that
Harkin. Tom Harkin.
Yeah,
His
nice.
brother was deaf, and that was he talks about the story. I read it recently. He talks about how his brother, like when he was like single digits, they hauled him away to some what they called at the time, deaf and dumb school.
Yeah.
That was like a couple hour and a half or so away from where they lived, and the things that his brother experienced. And I guess when he talked in Congress one time, it was this big deal where when he first gave the speech, he didn't say anything. He just did it all in sign language first. And then he said it
Wow.
verbally. But that was the drive behind it, was his brother who was deaf and was having problems.
Wow.
And I just thought that was that really hit me, because I'm like, that really shows where his passion came from, was his love for his brother.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, that's
Wow.
interesting. Thank you, Kim.
Yeah, I didn't know that either until like last week. So
No, well, that's the 30-year anniversary. We learned something. Thank you.
See, but is that a sign of like just both sides? Because that was HW signing that into law, and Tom Harkin, Democrat. It's just like if they could work together.
That
They work,
bipartisan.
yeah, they work together. I mean,
Yeah.
they had a mutual concern for something,
Yeah.
which none of them do anymore. I mean,
And they should, and that's both sides. Just that's you should. And anyway, now we're political, but yes, this is but.
but we're
We
political
should be
discussing, not political arguing. It's
Yes,
different.
this is.
but we're really not being political because we're just saying they need to work together.
Yeah.
That's
100%.
And it's going to be harder to avoid as we get closer and closer to November.
Oh, so
One-
okay.
one-
If we ever need to have like a happy thing, so say, okay, play that recording from July 28th again. Remember that, guys. Remember that.
It's on the record.
I have a point to make. Okay, look at our conversation though. There's different sides of the aisle that we're all going to be voting for. Look how polite and respectful we've been compared to what we see on television, what we see on social media. This is the way conversations should go, because I think we're not yelling at each other. We're just discussing and we're laughing and I'm looking at the list of potential running mates, and this is a discussion, and people don't know how to do that anymore. So, yes.
You're right, Mary, but that's because I haven't entered the conversation yet.
Ours,
Welcome back.
Right.
both extremes. We need the left and we need the right. Sometimes the left's right, sometimes the right's right.
Mhm.
I mean, we got to have both sides coming together.
Absolutely.
Frank, I do agree with you, but I have one thing to say here, that I'm not a huge Biden fan, but the one thing that really commends Biden to me, and has always commended him, is that he is a man who is willing to listen to both sides.
Yes.
He's not an extremist. And if there's any man out there right now who can pull the extremes together, to me, it's Biden. I don't think he's the brightest penny in your pocket, but I do think that he doesn't alienate people.
Exactly.
That's my point.
I will say that in the past, that is true. I just hope he's still sharp enough, because I think it's a 60-40 chance right now he's going to win. Okay, that's me.
Yeah.
I hope he's sharp enough for the job, because it's going to be.
Yeah, but look at Reagan. Did we think Reagan was sharp enough? We knew he was a great presenter. He was a great, he had charisma, but he didn't have the intellect. At the same time, he was smart enough to pick people around him who did. And I think that's what Biden is. He's the opposite of what we got. He's not going to try and run it himself because he knows he cannot. And he's willing to pick the right people. I think I was not a big Reagan fan at all. But at the same time, what I recognize with Reagan, and I will tell you, Reagan's main economic advisor was one of my professors. I used to write his jokes for his lectures, Art Laffer. But at the same time, Reagan picked good people around him. And that's what made Reagan who he was. And he was able to get up in front and present. Right? Would you agree? I mean, do you think Reagan was an intellect? Was a really sharp guy?
Oh, the way I would have to address that is somehow he managed to be governor of California and president of the Actors Union before he was president. So he did something right. He did something right.
He knew how to get on with people. He was very good with people.
A master communicator.
Right. A master communicator. And I think
he was an actor. He's supposed to be good at that, you know?
That's right. And I think that's what Biden is
exactly.
I just hope I hope he's all there, but I'm not sure the guy that's there right now is all there. So
he's not.
I would argue 100% Trump has some medical issue with his brain.
There's something, yeah.
The way he talks, the way he walks. If you just look at his vocabulary, there's something going on. And my husband freaked out one day when they had that little ramp incident that he was walking funny.
Yeah.
And my husband looked and he's like, that was my dad who had Parkinson's and stuff like that. He's like, I saw my dad. I'm like, I know. And I think it'll come out. But I think that's the thing I have hardest part with, having MS. Like, I removed myself from my career because I knew that was the safest, first do no harm. That's the Hippocratic Oath. Right. And that was really hard for me to do, but it was the best decision for everybody around me, including myself. And so I have a hard time when someone I'm seeing like, maybe because of medical reasons, you should not be doing this, and not willing to step down and going, hey, this may not be good for me right now. And that's hard for me to be like seeing someone struggle and you see the obvious signs. And I think I've gotten really sensitized to it because I've been around, my grandma who had dementia and my father-in-law that had Parkinson's and dementia and stuff. So I've really gotten in tune to some of those symptoms. And so every time I see him, that's all I see every time.
Kim, did your grandpa, did you say your grandpa, did he have Lewy bodies?
Yes, he was my father-in-law. They first said Parkinson's, and then toward the end, they switched it to Lewy body dementia, which which becomes first.
I'm somewhat familiar with Lewy bodies. I knew a lot about, I knew somebody with Lewy bodies when I lived in Mill Valley. And so I became very familiar with it. It was the mother of good friends of mine. And at the time, although it wasn't published, Robin Williams was attending the Lewy bodies group.
That's right.
Because it turned out he not only had Parkinson's, he had Lewy bodies, and that's probably why he topped himself. And then my mother got diagnosed with Lewy bodies, and we thought that's what it was for the longest time. My mother was already 91, but she was 100% there, and she was traveling all over the world, and she was completely there. But she would have these turns when she would swear that she was sitting in a house outside of London thinking she was in Spain. And they diagnosed her with Lewy bodies because Lewy bodies, unlike regular dementia, you come in and out of the dementia part. So you have these hallucinations and you think. And then about 4 months before she passed away, they did another brain scan and they decided that she actually had a brain tumor. That she probably had brain cancer, but they'd been misdiagnosed because they hadn't seen it a year earlier when they done the scan. So I don't know if she didn't have Parkinson's, but she may have had Lewy bodies, or it may have been cancer. Don't know. But so I'm a little bit familiar with those areas. So
It was weird because they have sometimes they have real weird symptoms, like all of a sudden his blood pressure would just hit the floor
yeah,
for no reason, and then like
yeah.
we saw Parkinson, but they said Lewy body, and like, well, why'd you change it? And you start reading the symptoms, you're like, oh my God, this does sound like him. And it was really shocking. Like those weird random symptoms, you're like, whoa.
Well, let me just tell you, because it's getting later now. I mentioned the thyroid cancer group, which will probably be up and running within 4 to 6 weeks, I think. Almost certainly, we've got a lupus group starting. So if you know anybody that's living with lupus, watch this space, because we've got the moderators are now set up. We've got what I think will be 3 or 4 really good moderators, a couple of whom are recognized nationally. And what we don't have at this point is we don't have a nonprofit, a big lupus nonprofit, but we've got a couple of moderators who have very large social media following, like 6 to 10,000 social media following. So I think we'll get enough exposure through the moderators. And then we've also got a group starting for renal medullary cancer, which is a fairly rare type of kidney cancer that affects mostly African Americans, and has some tie into sickle cell, which I really don't understand. But anyway, I think those are the 3 groups that are probably going to be starting up soon. So certainly with the lupus and the thyroid, if you run across people, just tell them there's a group coming, there's a virtual group coming. That's my commercial.
Very cool. Yeah, because we got.
We know
Busy, busy. Yeah.
Rick, have you noticed since COVID hit, is your attendance staying the same, decreasing, increasing with people joining groups?
I would say by and large increasing. Some groups is not consistent. In other groups, in the prostate cancer groups, definitely we've gotten more. And the other really interesting thing that has happened is that everybody's using their cameras now, their video. So 6 months ago, we would say run a prostate cancer group, and there would be the moderators, because we always ask our moderators to have their cameras on, but nobody else. And we would maybe have the moderators and maybe 2 or 3 others. We may have 15 people. Now it's the 1 or 2 people that are either calling in by phone or don't have their camera on. A lot more people too are willing to use the online platform. I mean, 6 months ago in our prostate groups, we probably had 40% would call in. Now then they're not doing it anymore because they're more comfortable with the whole concept of a video chat.
Yeah.
And so that's been great, because the meetings are so much nicer when you see everybody. There's a much greater sense of community, but we don't want to require people to use their video at all, so that's
Yeah,
what
you want them to show up first, and then maybe with baby steps, if they can just be a fly on the wall, maybe, and then but eventually navigate to what we're doing right here. And it's very daunting the first time that you put yourself out there on video, because you see and hear that you see the facial expressions, and if you've had a bad day, I mean. I took a shower and I washed my hair today, so that's like, that's a big thing. But otherwise, I've gotten now to the point to where if I don't care, that you don't have to worry about makeup, you don't have to worry about fixing yourself up. Just just sit at the computer and go. You know,
Yeah,
it gets more comfortable the more you do it. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
and I think in answer to Kim's question, what we've seen is more interest in working with us. I mean, I had a really interesting experience last week when we talked for the first time to the RMC, the renal medullary cancer people. And there was a woman in the group who said to us, the moderators were asking about ANCAN, and I gave them a little history. And this woman who was from a different group, from the thyroid group, said, "Well, you're really understating what you do." And I said, "Well, you know, we don't want to over." She said, "Well, I just want to tell you that there's really now developed more of a buzz around ANCAN, and people who online who are talking about starting a group, others are saying to them, well, why don't you contact ANCAN? Because they know what they're doing, and they'll support you, and they'll help you, and they'll get you up, and they'll get you started." So whilst it's easy for people to start a group today, you know, anybody can get a free Zoom account or what have you. It's still, and I don't have to tell the moderators here, it's not just as easy as holding a group, turning on your camera and getting going. I mean, you know, there's skills you have to learn, and you need some support. So I was worried that COVID could break us. And in fact, I think what it's actually doing is making us.
Aw, that's so awesome.
Yeah. It's really good. Now, the next step is, how do we raise money? Because it's gotten to the point where I just can't do everything anymore.
Yeah.
And so I need volunteers, or I need people to help. And my volunteers have just, as I said before, I mean, my volunteers have been incredible. And that includes you guys as moderators too. I mean, we run with volunteers, but I think that rather than my taking any sort of draw or salary, the money that we get coming in, I'm going to use to hire some help, because I can't keep up. And I would rather hire someone right now than pay it to myself. And that's where we are. We've got a bequest coming in. I don't know when, but somebody who I supported since 2013 passed away a couple of months ago, and we will probably get around 15 to 17 grand from his estate, along with a bunch of other charities. And I think I'd rather use that to pay somebody to help out, because we're now at a level where I can't run it.
Yeah.
So, which is great. It's, you know,
Sounds like a good problem, Rick.
exactly. But we have to write some grants too, and I don't have the time to write the grants, and that's really what we need next, is some help with some grant writing. So.
Yeah.
Jennifer's like, I'm staring at you. Let me know, Rick. I'd love to help with that. So
With the grant writing?
yeah.
I've written a couple of grants too, if you want.
Oh wow! Well, Carly, you've got enough on your plate. I know. I don't.
I have a whole month of nothing to do.
Pick up on it, Rick. Don't turn down the help.
Yeah, let me think about that, because we've got to get one in August. But I definitely, Dan, we may need, I mean, we don't have the experience. We have Grand Station. We bought Grand Station, and so I'm happy to give either of you access to Grand Station if you need it for anything else. I haven't even had the time to open it and look at it. And you know, I need a mentor to help me write grants. I've got to write a grant for Foundation Medicine by August 15th. And it's in my mind where we're going. The other thing is we're developing statistics, which we've never really had. So very soon we're going to be asking our moderators to fill in how many people were on their group and how many new people were on their group. We're going to be requiring our moderators to do that, because we have to be able to give the information, to funnel the information back if we're looking for grants.
Yes.
Yeah.
The
But
cool
thank
thing is you
both.
videotape these, so you actually could go back and look at the videos and count how many people showed up.
Yeah, but not all of them. We only record we record sarcoidosis, we record this one, we record the advanced cancer group. We don't record any of the prostate cancer group. We don't record any of the other prostate cancer groups. And I think we record the blood cancer group. We don't record the ovarian cancer group. So we do some, we do the others. That's the moderator's decision. So your moderators want to record the group, that's fine by us, and we'll support you to do that. But we don't require that the groups are recorded.
Speaking
So-
of which, should we stop our recording?
Yeah, we're still going.
Good idea. Stop the recording.
Maybe someone will watch this and go, "Hey, I want to help Rick out. Let me go shoot him an email. I feel really, I have XYZ skill that Rick's looking for. Let me help out."
Yes. Well, we got the plug in at least. Good point, Kim.
Yeah. And by the way, the reason you couldn't, you didn't have the recording is because I forgot to make you organizers up front. So, which I always forget to do. But I put a couple of notes to the organizers in there. You can get back to me in the chat window. You can get back to me on the notes in there. But anyway, thank you. I just thank you guys a lot. This group is getting so good. I mean, it's just flowing.
Yes.
Well, there's great people here.
Michelle has her hand up.
Before we leave,
Yes.
y'all remember the very first day I attended, and I said, "Oh, I have this big project." And remember, we were talking about our messes, and I showed everyone my lovely quote dining room, which became a junk pile. Yeah,
Remember.
I'm actually sitting in my dining room. I want to show y'all how far I've come.
Yeah.
Hey.
Very
I'm showing progress, and I'm just going to go out here to the beginning so you can see from that same image. Let's see.
Oh, great job. All right, definite progress. Well,
Everyone's been working
Look
hard.
at that, the floor.
we can see the floor. Fantastic.
Good
Floor
job,
and the
Michelle.
table. Dang.
I bet that feels amazing, Michelle.
I had this tent sitting in the hallway for a month and a half. It fight its way in here.
Wow.
That one.
Wow. Now we've got
And
some.
I already put a bunch of stuff in it. And then let me get you the opposite view.
We had.
Remember that view?
Join us.
Yes.
Wow.
Hi, Steve.
Hey, Steve.
You're muted right now, Steve. There you
Here we
go.
go. It sounds like you're all just finishing for the evening. Is that right?
Yes.
Was it the MS group that you were hoping to join?
I don't know if I'm in the right group.
Okay. What group were you looking for?
Well, let's see. I thought this was something about low and intermediate risk
Prostate cancer?
for cancer.
Prostate cancer?
Prostate cancer, right.
Right. So that group was on this week. That group was on Monday night.
Oh, I got it. Yes, I'm sorry. I got the wrong day. Okay.
But it's nice to see you, Steve. It's nice to thanks for saying hi.
I saw your screen black to my end, and I'm glad you got a peek into my home.
Yeah, well, I didn't mean to peek in without, being in the group actually, but sorry, I dialed the wrong number.
No, I'm just
I'm glad you came.
Let me say, Steve, you dialed the absolute right number, but it was on the wrong day.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And by the way, Steve, I did that also once before with the prostate cancer group, and it was all men, and I was like, "Oh, bye, sorry, bye."
You thought you went in the men's locker room for a minute, right?
Yeah, it's like, oops.
Well, thanks. Well, I will do that for the Monday nights, but blessings to everybody else in the meantime.
Thank you.
You
Take
too.
care,
Bye.
Steve.
Goodbye.
The low and intermediate group meeting is on the second and fourth Mondays. Oh, he's gone.
He's already gone. He disappeared. I gotta go
He looked
too,
like a
guys.
very nice
All right. Well,
Wait,
listen, lovely talking to all of you as always.
Well, we'll catch you
We were
all
just
on
looking-
Facebook
yeah,
for the next meeting.
Yeah, when is our next meeting? It's September or August. Will that be like
I have it on my calendar. Yeah,
or probably the
yeah.
The 11th.
So we're gonna
August
talk about that sleep stuff.
August 11th.
August 11th?
We'll
Yeah.
talk.
Wow, that's
sleep
crazy.
again.
It'll be in the middle of August.
Isn't that crazy? It's
Insane.
totally crazy. And don't forget to
No, I think it's the 14th, right? Oh wait, that's July. Sorry.
I just know it's the second
11th.
and fourth, the second and
Yeah.
fourth.
August
August
11th.
11th.
I
If
learned last month it's the second and fourth Tuesday, not every other Tuesday. I learned that
That's
one. I
right.
learned a new fact.
Second
That's
Tuesday,
right.
which is the 11th, and we'll see you all then. And Digmans, I've sent you the link for the flyer for tomorrow.
thank you,
Thank
and we will see you, and we'll be in touch, Rick, to talk about the conference
Yes,
then.
people, terrific. Okay.
All right,
Good night,
bye everyone. Take
Bye.
care.
Bye, everybody. Bye.